Fourth down warriors chasing gold. This game's ours, it's ours to hold. One shot left, one play to run. Make it count under the setting sun. It's game time grind. All or nothing on the line. Push through the pain. Leave it all in the rain. It's game time grind. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find. It's game time grind. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find. Victory's ours to find. We the heartbeat. Whistle blows, turf stain with ambition. Chains clank 10 yards, the mission. Fourth down, no punt or precision. Pressure so thick, cut it with decisions. Huddle up, mind sharp like cleats. Helmet to helmet, hit a heartbeat. Blood, sweat, grind, repeat. This is where the dogs meet.
Live breaking news here on the 4th and 10 network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new show of Game Time Grind. And I have some sad, heartbreaking news that I have to put out to you guys. It has been reported to me that our great friend Mystic, who is not here tonight, has been hijacked and taken by our sister network. And I call them the sister network now, the TFTG. So the TFTG is holding Mystic hostage right now. And I think we're going to have to retaliate. I think that's what's going to have to happen here. I think Steve and I are going to have to retaliate. Steve, what do you think about that?
Batten the hatches. I'll get the Jeep. We're going full assault.
I think that one of these weekends we should just take over TFTG. We'll run the show. El Cap hasn't been on in several days. He's been sleeping like a bear in hibernation. I think we should just take over. What do you think?
I think we can liberate TFTG and save it.
Yes, make TFTG great again. We're going to make it happen. And 4th and 10 is going to be the one that does it. Stay tuned. Details to come. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button. This is Game Time Grind. I'm your host, Ali the Persian. I got Steve with us. Mystic is not here, but in light of him not being here, we'll play some music for him. What the hell?
In the building, turn that on. Mystic. Mystic in the building. Turn that up. Mystic. We live, we violent. Crowd so loud, got the rival silent. Run that score up, ain't scared of nothing. Mystic on the field, yeah, we came to crush 'em. Pass, pop, helmets clash. Whole squad hungry.
All right, that is right. I've had a interesting week so far. Steve, how's your week been?
Stressful for things outside of, football, just normal life stuff. But other than that, it's been good.
Yeah, it's been kind of like that for me too. I had an interesting week so far. The weekend was really good. I got to enjoy my time with family, Easter. Some of my hobbies that I have outside of work, and whatnot, and had a fun time with that. I acquired something. It's on my way. It's on its way to me. You know what that is. I am super excited to get a hold of this. But let's just say I got an autograph of a player. He's probably going to end up being one of my all-time favorite players of all time. Let's just put it that way. I'm excited. I can't wait. But once it's fully acquired in hand, I will share it with everybody. So cannot wait to release that here. But how was your Easter?
It was good. I don't have kids, so
Mm.
it's not really nothing crazy. We're gonna be doing Easter for my 4 nieces and nephews this weekend. So
Gotcha. Interesting. We had every year it seems like we go to my sister's house for this massive Easter egg hunt. She has a very beautiful yard, flowers, garden. It's really big. And we usually have like 10, 15 kids that run all over searching for eggs. So it was really cool. My wife and I, we got these they look like dragon eggs. That's what they look like. They're Easter eggs, but they're dragon scaled eggs, if you know what I mean. And they have like a 3D printed dragon that comes out of them and stuff. And we hid them all over her yard. And there was, of course, everyone's putting in eggs. So there's like candy eggs. There's eggs with money and other like little those little squishy figures that people get and play around with, little kids get, all that kind of stuff.
yeah, squishies.
Yeah, they ended up having like, I want to say there was like 400 eggs we had to hide. That's how many eggs. Yeah, dude, let me just put it this way. Let's say it took us forever to find places to hide this stuff, but for them to collect the amount of eggs, it took them less than 15 minutes. These kids ran and took everything. It was crazy. But it was a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. So we did that. Then we went over to my in-laws' house and I had a great dinner. Prime rib, bro. It was shout out to my brother-in-law, Chad. He for Christmas, our prime rib didn't come out the best, right? And he said that, listen, the next holiday, I'm gonna make the prime rib again, but this time I guarantee it comes out perfect. And it came out better than perfect. It was the most tender prime rib I've ever had. Very, very good. Everything else that he cooked, it's just amazing. So great cook. But
that is one thing we did do. We did kind of a dinner. It was more of just like an in-house family dinner. I got some steaks and had them dry brining all Saturday, and so Sunday I grilled them up. I think so good.
Yeah, it was a great Easter. But yeah, a lot that happened this weekend. What else happened? Michigan won the national championship game last night, right? Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Michigan is still trash. They still suck. I don't care how many college basketball championships you have. I don't care. I really don't care. Your school and your team and everything you stand for still trash. Yeah, I'm a hater for Michigan. I don't care. I'm an Ohio State fan. What do you expect? Right? That's all I can say to that. No, they deserved it, right? They beat UConn. UConn performed way better than I expected them to in this March Madness. My team, the Duke Blue Devils, we're young. We have a lot of freshmen on our team, and I'm just glad that we're continuing the history of putting up some really good teams. And we'll see what happens next year. Yeah, it was an interesting college basketball season this season. So just wanted to shout out to them. What else? What else went down this week? A lot of interesting news. Mendoza announced that he will not be at the NFL draft in Pittsburgh this year. He wants to spend it with his family. And I respect it. I respect him spending time with his family. I think it is interesting though, because this he's like the for sure 100% no questions asked number one pick. It's all been said that he will be the number one pick. And I think that out of the QBs or quarterbacks that have come through the college draft cycle, I don't think there's another one of his kind that I can remember that there's so much expectation and hype behind. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is he is so talented and good in a way that you just know he's going to be able to, it's going to translate to the NFL. It's like for sure, guaranteed. You know what I mean? I don't think I've talked to anybody personally. And maybe there are people that say this out there, but you know, maybe there are more people that besides Orlovsky that will go out there and try to sell me on Ty Simpson. But I think Mendoza is a for sure thing. I think if you bet 100 times, at 100 times, he's still going to be a sure thing. I don't know. What do you think, Steve?
I would say pretty much every year there's because that's what we call the NFL ready, right? Like I know where we are now, but like Joe Burrow was NFL ready, Tua was NFL ready, Herbert was
What's
seen as
Tua NFL ready?
yes,
Was he?
Tua was considered NFL ready. It's just that nobody knew because again, remember he was doing his like the COVID thing. I think he would have participated in the combine and
Yeah.
all the pro day stuff got kind of weird because of COVID. Tua was healthy. He was ready. It's just it had foreseen things, right? Unforeseen things
Mm.
or foreseen things depending on how you looked at it, right? So, but they were considered NFL ready quarterbacks. Uh Bryce Young was considered an NFL ready quarterback. CJ Stroud was considered an NFL ready quarterback. So we do have quarterbacks that are NFL ready. I think Mendoza in this draft, I think there are two guys that are NFL ready.
Mm-hmm.
Would be him and probably Ty Simpson, only because, and shout out to the Blitz Pickup, Tony makes this point very often, and I have to agree with him that Ty Simpson was asked to not just call protections, but he actually got the chance to change plays at the line of scrimmage. Like he was doing a lot of things that you're asked to do in the NFL, and not a lot of college quarterbacks are asked to do that these days. So from a mental aspect, especially being a kid whose dad's been a head coach at where's it at? 'Cause I took that at Tennessee Martin uh since 2007. So
Yep.
like he comes from that from a coach. So um I think those two are NFL ready. Everybody else is pretty much a project.
Mm. Maybe I don't know. It just seems like when Mendoza was in the biggest moment, he was clutch. He didn't make mistakes, right? Um, Ty Simpson in the biggest moments, he made mistakes, right? We saw him against Oklahoma. It didn't work out. You saw him against who was it? Georgia. That definitely didn't work out, right? And I'll even argue that it didn't work out against Indiana either. And for me, it's just I don't know if I want to go into like a situation with a QB like that when the light shines the brightest that it hasn't worked out. You know who we've had. You and I have experience with this. We had this with Tua, right? You said he was NFL ready, but I posed the question: was he NFL ready? Because you look at it when the light was shining the brightest at the moment, he wasn't able to get it done for us. You know what I mean? And I don't want the Thomas the Train that says I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, only get to the hump but not over it. I need the train that's just going to go over it, right? Joe Burrow was a guy that was just going to go over it. Didn't matter how decimated you made his offensive line, he found a way to win and get himself into the Super Bowl, right? In year 2 of his career, right? It didn't matter how many times that the Kansas City Chiefs have don't have the running back. They don't have the wide receiver. They have no weapons. Freaking Mahomes has a bum knee and one leg, right? It didn't matter how much what you did to them. He found a way and made it happen, right? Mendoza to me gives me that kind of vibes. I think I know they signed Kirk Cousins, and I know this is a college football show, but we're talking NFL just for a moment. I know the Raiders signed Kirk Cousins, but I don't think Mendoza will be sitting long, if you understand what I mean by that. I think he'll come in quicker than what we expect, and he's going to get stuff done. That's the vibe he gives me. And regardless of what people say regarding, how quirky he is when he talks or whatever, the kid is really fucking smart. That's number one. And number two, I just think he's a pure competitor. You know what I mean? So those are just my thoughts about Mendoza. I don't know if you wanted to add to that at all, but I just found it interesting. This is the biggest moment. You only get drafted once in the NFL. Wouldn't you want to take your whole family to the draft? But if he wants to just spend it at home with family and relax, then so be it. It is what it is.
I think he's the definition of clutch. Like, there are tangible things you can look at. And one of my stock up guys, we're going to talk about tangible stuff, right? The physical stuff, the height, the weight, the arm length, the arm strength, the mobility, all of that. And then there's the intangible things, the things you can't teach. You can't teach clutch. I don't care how hard you want to. You can't teach it. You just have it or you don't. That's one of those things, and he showed a lot during this season that Mendoza was clutch.
Yeah. And that's something that's his superpower, to be honest. He's just clutch. When you need him the most, he got it.
Yeah, and again, every quarterback, not even just quarterback, every player in the league is how do I want to say it? Every player in the league can have bad games. Sometimes they don't show up in the biggest games the whole game, and but there's a good phrase, and it's always something I've lived with when I'm looking at quarterbacks. Quarterbacks get paid on third downs and fourth quarters. Mendoza, they won that game because he was clutch. That defense was great, and he was clutch. He doesn't make the 3 completions as I see CCR keeps bringing up. Yes, it was 3 plays. And then the week before that, it was 12 plays. And the week before that, it was 8 plays. When it matters most. That's what NFL ready is. When those lights come on, what are you as a player? And when them lights come on, though he had a rough game, and honestly, I don't know if he would be a top pick in the 2020 draft or the 2020 was it the 2024 23 draft with Bo Nixon and all them, right? I don't know if he goes as high as the top 5 in that draft. But in this draft, with what he's produced and what we've seen from him in a school that, mind you, yes, finally had a good season last year, was not undefeated without him at quarterback. And there's real questions if they're going to be good next year without him, because I like Hoover, but I don't know if he's going to be what Mendoza did. Well, we're going to find out.
Yeah, we are definitely going to find out. I don't agree with CCR's comments here, talking about Mendoza playing 11 games this season against scrubs. Ohio State scrubs? Really? Alabama scrubs? Really? Even Miami is scrubs? Really? Oregon is scrubs? Really? You know what I mean? I just don't agree with it. And then you look at who he played against. He played over 20 games at the University of California as well. So it's not like this guy has only been playing 11 games and that's it. He was a one-year wonder. No, he just was at a different program and didn't get the spotlight he really deserved, right? And I personally, I think he is NFL ready. I think a lot of people are wrong on Mendoza. That's what I think. All right, let's get on with the show here. What other news do we have? There was the big thing that Donald Trump did. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so
Definitely. Go ahead.
Donald Trump put a executive order in place that got hung up with the what's the name for it? The Congress. Actually, that window closed. I am so sorry.
It's okay.
Pull up the exact information so I can give accurate information.
To answer your question, CCRR, Stanford's not a scrub team, I don't think. They also played against Syracuse. Syracuse hasn't been a scrub team. They've been pretty good the last couple of years. Who else did he play at University of California? They play all the ACC teams. So no, I don't think he was a scrub. In fact, he played against Miami in that game. In fact, I believe it was that game where Cal was up like 28-0 in like the first half or something like that. It was something ridiculous. I thought they had the game in the bag until Cam Ward showed up, right? So no, I don't think that they have been scrubs. In fact, in that game against Miami, where they lost 39-38, Mendoza threw 285 yards and 2 touchdowns, went 11 for 22. That's not bad. It's not perfect, but it ain't bad. He ain't a scrub. I hate this narrative that we all think he's just going to be a scrub.
Every ACC team is a scrub. That's funny. So I found what I was looking for. So Donald Trump issued an executive order for the NCAA's transfer rules, and further beyond that. So it would also limit how many years kids can play in college to 5 years, with exceptions to if they did military service or a missionary service or other periods of absence that were in the participation of public interests. It would also state that a player can only transfer once in 5 years unless they receive a 4-year degree in that time frame, then they would be allowed an extra. It would also remove any option of players who go to the league of going back to college permanently, even though there are ways around it right now. This would end that. It would also prohibit anything that would allow athletes to make money third party or any pay to play payments that would be classified as improper financial activities. And then it would also require that student athletes and colleges must create a revenue sharing between the two, which would be interesting. So it's pretty in depth in what the order wants to go towards. Like I said, it's hung up right now in the Congress. The president of the NCAA has backed the order, and if it gets passed Congress, it'll go into effect August 1st.
Yeah, essentially, to give a quick breakdown of what the highlights are as Steve said, one free transfer. That's it. You get one transfer. Second move, you either sit out or you graduate, right? You get 5 years to play 5 seasons, and any NIL tied transfers, like where how players transfer because of the money, that's getting shut down. And if they don't comply, if the schools don't follow these orders, schools could lose federal money if they don't comply. That's basically the highlight of it all. Essentially, they're wanting it to go from free agency back to structure that we had before. So I think this could be a good thing. We have all said that the NIL rules are starting to go crazy. There's just too much going on. In addition, there's all these transfers, and I hate that. I hate when these schools spend millions and millions of dollars, right, on these recruits and recruiting them and everything, and only for these kids to get up and leave the next year. I just don't like that. I think there has to be some responsibility of the athlete committing to the commitment and seeing it through. You know what I mean? I could understand it's the back end of your career in college. You want to go to a team because you really want to win, maybe set yourself up for the draft or something like that. Granted, okay, you could use your one free transfer for that. I just don't think that you should be able to transfer willy-nilly. What do you think, Steve? What do you think of the order? Do you agree with it? Do you think it's good for the game? What do you think?
I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit before. Like, I don't want to do anything that would take away from these kids being able to succeed. Like, there are some kids who go to a college because they were looked over when they were high school athletes, then turn around and transfer to a bigger school later, or have to take a couple schools to get to where they want to be. You know what I'm saying? So, and I agree with Tony. Coaches should be there. There needs to be a rule about coaches being able to go to a school and then turn around and immediately take another job too. Like, if we're going to do it to students, we need to do it to teachers.
Oh
Or
yeah, it has to be
coaches.
all the way across the board. I agree with you. Did that
Yeah,
happen in this cycle, by the way? Did that happen?
coach signing with his school and then going to another school.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it does happen all the time. They'll sign for like a year and then they're gone. Like, I absolutely agree with that point.
Yeah, I agree with that point as well. I think the closest person that could have left, and there was a lot of rumor behind it, was the new LSU coach, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, when the Alabama job was going to be available, people thought it was going to be available. A lot of people said Lane Kiffin could jump on that Alabama job in a heartbeat because ultimately that's where he wanted to be. And it never happened. So I would agree for a situation like that. I would definitely put that type of rule in place.
I do find it interesting, and I would like to know what they mean by, and this might just be me not being the smartest individual on the planet, but what they mean by revenue sharing. If they mean like actually sharing revenues, or if it's just like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like an open window policy on what's being brought in through both connections.
Yeah, it would be really interesting. All right. $1 lease agreement.
He's talking about the Saudi Arabian Arizona government stuff.
Oh, really? I didn't even know about that. Also, coming to dry up local farmers, well, due to growing
Alfalfa.
Oh. Interesting. Interesting. All right, let's get on with the show. Everybody hit the like button. We're going to get into the main topic because me and Steve have a lot to talk about. We're going to start off by talking about climbers, right? Who are the top climbers in the 2026 NFL draft, right? That's something we want to talk about tonight. I have some people on my team. There's been a lot of climbers, and for the most part, for the top 10, for the most part, to be honest, it's been all pretty much the same guys, right? There hasn't been a lot of climbing. I will say, though, one guy that kind of out of nowhere climbed the most, to be honest, this season, I'm going to go ahead and start off with my first person, Arvell Reese, bro. This guy came out of nowhere, to be honest. You really look at him. I knew of him last season, but how fast and how quickly he blew up, took the stage as one of the top premier picks in this NFL draft kind of surprised me, especially for the fact that if you look at the later half in the season, like the last 3 games that Ohio State played, actually, I'll even go and say last 4 games, he didn't really show up a lot. He wasn't really like, you didn't see him pop on off the screen or anything as much as he was in the beginning of the season and everything. So I don't know how much is this legit him climbing the boards, or is it just inflation of the draft and based on, hype and everything. What do you think of Arvell Reese? The guy, I want to say Arvell Reese is arguably very talented, linebacker. Some people, I guess the biggest question is he more of an edge outside linebacker, or is he an inside middle linebacker, is really your biggest question. What do you think of Arvell Reese and him being one of the biggest climbers this season?
Well, we kind of talked about this a few times. Like Arvell Reese, I think the league is doing him a disservice. He is a middle linebacker who can play edge, and that is how he should be drafted. But they did this with Jalen Walker last year, and they almost did this to the kid from Alabama too, where you show some upside on a specific thing because of the defense you were in, and they like shoehorn you out of the position that you should be playing into doing this thing. Arvell Reese is being talked about as an edge because he has elite measurables, including elite athleticism for a
Yeah.
guy his size, because he's almost the same size as Sonny Styles. I think he's like an inch shorter. I think he's 6'4", and Sonny is 6'5". Like they're about the same weight. He is
Yeah. He's 6'4", 241 pounds. I want to say Sonny Styles is 6'5", 248. So that's the difference.
Yeah, like it's literally just an inch.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Now the mentality I think is different. I do think Sonny, though I was really drawn to Reese at first, Sonny really kind of grew on me and started to shine the more I watched Arvell Reese. So like I do think he might be better, but Arvell was used in such an NFL way of this blitzing edge rusher that they kind of shoehorned him into an edge rusher, and I don't know if that's the right spot for him. But he's definitely flying up. I mean, it's him or David Bailey. That's been the talk at number 2 for months.
Yeah, that is you're absolutely right. David Bailey is a guy that is comparable. In addition, both of them, they've been swapping anywhere between the 3rd and 2nd pick to the Jets. People are saying either Arvell Reese or David Bailey is an option as well. I just noticed something. I was looking at Sonny Styles' measurables, right? Being the fact that he's 6'5", about 248 pounds, I think is what they count. They verified. Some people say it's 244. Is it me, or does he kind of remind you, especially with his demeanor and his football IQ? We'll just say football IQ. Does it remind you of a linebacker who played for our favorite team?
Which one?
A Hall of Famer linebacker.
Linebacker or edge?
Depends what year you were looking at him. He did play edge for a little bit, but played linebacker too. Jason Taylor. He reminds me a little bit of Jason Taylor with his demeanor and his football IQ of the game. You understand what I mean? Like, you knew Jason Taylor was a smart football player and he had the measurables. This guy, he has the measurables and is a hell of a smart player. And if you watch how he plays the game at times, if you watch Jason Taylor tape and you watch Sonny Styles tape, they match up a little bit. I noticed that recently. Somebody mentioned it to me and I started watching and it kind of reminds me of him a little bit. So just wanted to point that out. All right.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to do side by sides. I want to see, because like it's hard for me to say. I get what you're saying. Don't say anything. I'm not. I absolutely understand what you're saying. It's just hard for me to compare somebody to Jason Taylor. Like,
I get you. Just remember, Jason Taylor didn't always play edge though. And he didn't even play edge like at a full-time basis. I think the time where he was playing a lot more edge is when we got Cameron Wake. Remember in the early years, like the rookie season, or rookie for him because he came from the Canadian Football League. I want to say that's really where you saw him play that position a lot more. But when he went to Washington, there was times they had him in the middle as been a linebacker. So it'll be very interesting. Someone brought it out to me and I started watching him, and there are flashes where he reminds me of Jason Taylor. And it's funny, they grew up very close to each other too in Ohio. So I don't know if that means anything, but I just thought it was funny. So all right. So who's your top climber, so to speak, the one that's skyboarding off the charts?
Max Ironacre. This guy was being talked about as like a mid-day 2 pick. Like the highest I saw him before the video of him working out with Vrabel came out was mid-second round.
Yeah.
Now people are talking about this guy might jump up into the first round. Like I've been seeing him going before Caden Proctor. That's how much this guy is being talked up right now. Now a lot of this is smokescreen. I don't know if he makes it into the first round. I think he'll still be a second round pick, but this dude's climbing. I mean, 6'6", 321, explosive, plays with that violent anger. Like he yeah, that dude's climbing more ladders than Mario trying to get to Donkey Kong. Like it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, definitely. This guy is 6'6", 321 pounds, give or take. He, if you don't know his story, this athlete was born in Nigeria. He immigrated to Los Angeles at the age of 13. He actually gravitated more towards soccer and basketball, from what I've read. But he's been, he is a guy that has shot up the boards. I've seen him in the first round at 30 in some mock drafts. And that would be interesting. I kind of like the prospect of him going to the Dolphins at 30. But how do you think he cracks top 15 though? I don't know. I think he's more of a lower end first round.
I don't think for me, I don't know if he goes first round. I think he's a second round player just because of how I think the board will fall. But I think he could be a top 30 player if because again, like it's all about traits and measurements, right? And he hits all the boxes.
I mean, let's talk about his stats a little bit. This guy is probably touted as one of the best offensive linemen in the Big 12. The guy, from what I'm reading, he had 98.5% pressure efficiency rate. And he allowed 0 sacks in just 3 quarterback hits across 500 pass blocking snaps in 2025. That's really good, to be honest. I think that's really good. Shows you what type of offensive lineman he can be. But the reality for me in the past, offensive linemen coming out of the NFL draft, especially the first rounders, they're all projects, to be honest. It's very rare that you find an offensive lineman, in my opinion, that is going to be an automatic day one star. I mean, you can find a guy here or there, but in more recent years, you look at it, they've always been a project. Maybe not this year, they're more of a next year kind of guy. That's just my opinion. Every once in a while, you get lucky with offensive linemen in the first round, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
You definitely don't get a Joe Alt every single year.
That would be
I will be there.
That would be awesome
Like,
if you did, to be honest.
Mason, I always get the two mixed up. Not the corner, but the tackle that was taken from LSU last year that went to the Patriots. Like
Mason Graham?
No, Mason Graham was a defensive tackle.
What's his name?
Will Johnson.
There you go.
Will Campbell. Sorry, Will Campbell. Will Johnson was the corner. Will Campbell struggled at times this year, but that's also the rookie thing, right? Like, there are very few players I think come out and are like, yeah, boom, here we go. Like, you get a handful of them every year. Last year was the safety from Carolina. Like, you get those guys every once in a while, and I think there are a few of those guys this year. But like, a lot of these tackles take a year to get their footing and get used to NFL speed.
Yeah, I agree. It was I definitely see what you're saying there. It's just really, the offensive line, college offensive lineman is an interesting factor, right? Because back in the day when you got offensive linemen out of college, these guys were big dudes, right? Big dudes, ready to bulldoze somebody, don't mind hurting somebody, blood and guts kind of guys. Then somewhere in the scheme or era of college football, it's been all about athleticism, right? Now you have offensive linemen are more athletes than they are just big bulldozers, right? They run faster, they're more lean rather than bigger. It's just an interesting change to the college game when it comes to certain positions. And that's how the game evolves, obviously. But does it always does it translate to the NFL is my question. And that's why I hate taking offensive linemen in the first round. I'll take a guard or an offensive tackle in the second round, no problem. First round offensive lineman, I just don't like it. I mean, even in our team, we'll look at our team. We took Patrick Paul in the second round. Everybody was like, who's that? And he had a hell of a season this season. You know what I mean? He played like an all pro, to be honest. Speaking of which, think of having Patrick Paul and Max Eichenhaker. How do you say his name? I'm sorry.
Eichenhaker.
Imagine having both those guys on your offensive line. You could call them the Nigerian brothers, bro. And it would be awesome, to be honest.
I get that, but Francis Mauigo is going to be a day one starter anywhere he goes. And if he's there at 11, I'm running to the podium, knocking the podium over, jumping on Roger Goodell's back and screaming for the heavens that I want him.
I hope he's a day one starter. I hope. So, all right. And I don't mean to hate on Francis Mauigo. I mean, a lot of people might think I'm doing that. I'm not. I'm not doing that at all. I just I don't have faith in offensive linemen in the first round. I just don't. You look at offensive lines, a lot of them. you look at a lot of them, and some of these guys were drafted in the second, third round, right? You don't need to have a first round offensive line, for at every position to be successful in the NFL. You don't have to do that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. My next guy, and this is a guy that I know you, Steve, used to bang the table for. Because I remember you talking about him a lot. Malachi Lemon. Malachi Lemon is climbing the boards, but I personally don't know if I have faith in Malachi Lemon. I don't think he's the guy that everyone else thinks he is. Now, unlike popular belief, they awarded him the Bolinkinoff award as the nation's best receiver. Sorry, I still think Jeremiah Smith deserved it, but that's just me. He has elite route running and insane football IQ. Okay. But he didn't really show up he didn't work out at the combine. I don't think he ran the 40 there. And he ran the 40 at his pro day. And from my understanding, it was a horrible 40. Is he really that good? Or is he really kind of like this year's Jarvis Landry? Doesn't really have the speed, can catch hell of a ball, and he's a competitor. What do you think? Where do you think he is? Do you think he's deserving of being one of these high climbers in the draft?
I do think he is a good receiver, and if you reel and watch him, he gets a lot of yak, right? He's tough to tackle. Like, he's gonna produce. I do think he's a first round wide receiver. It's just when you're 5'10" and you're running a 4.5, everything else has to be on point. Like, that's why Amon-Ra, one of the reasons why Amon-Ra St. Brown went so late, right? Didn't have the greatest 40, wasn't the most explosive player. Got to the league, turned out to be one of the most explosive players in the league. But he was a fourth round pick.
Let me ask you this. They say that Malachi Lemon is a plug-in player, wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2, is what they're saying. Okay. My question to you is, and we're using our team a lot because this is who we have to reference. Okay. Who's better, Malachi Lemon or Jalen Waddle?
Jalen Waddle. And it's not even close.
Then he's never going to be a wide receiver number 1. He's a wide receiver number 2. At the very most. At the very most.
But that depends on how you see Waddle. Like, you're asking me, and I'm going to make this as clear as possible to everybody. I am a massive Waddle fan. I am the guy who argues that we held that man back from being what he could be. So when you're asking me that, it's kind of like there's a little bit of my bias in there, and I'll be honest about that, right?
Okay. Fair enough.
For me, I thought Waddle, and I banged the table. I wanted Waddle during the 2021 draft over Devontae Smith. I didn't give a damn about his ankle. I thought he was more explosive, and that's what he turned out. When he had his chances, he was more explosive than Devontae Smith.
So, I guess, like, I have to admit, since you admitted you're a big, huge Waddle fan, I'm a big, huge Waddle fan too. I like Waddle. I've always liked Waddle. The only thing I've held critical to him is that in big moments, he had some of the biggest drops. And people like to say that, he has horrible hands. I don't think he has horrible hands. I think he loses concentration at certain points.
He gets ahead of himself.
And he trips over himself, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. And for me, I've watched the tape of Malachi Lemon. I think Waddle's better. I think Waddle is faster. I think Waddle can run routes just as well. Some people will argue that he has better hands. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's the fan in me, but I guess we have to wait and see, because to be honest, to be 100% honest, Malachi Lemon hasn't played in the NFL yet. So we're going to have to see what's what. I just don't think he's some people have him going as the first receiver off the board, and I don't really think he's deserving of that. You know what I mean? I think he's a mid first round receiver at best. That's just where I have him.
Yeah, I don't think he's the best wide receiver in this class by a long shot.
No, and in fact, there's another wide receiver that's on my list that I'll talk about that I think is better and should be deserving of the number one receiver spot. But we'll talk about him a little bit later. Who's your next guy?
So, my next guy, we kind of talked about it a little bit. I hinted at it. Taylor Green. So, we in our spaces we talked about that maybe there was a possibility if he really started showing out at the end of the season and did what we thought he was going to do in the combine, which he kind of did, he might be a late day one, day two quarterback. I do think might have worked his way into the back end of the third round from the fifth round, where some people had him going before. There's been a lot of talk about him. I mean, the dude shattered pretty much every record, didn't he, at the combine? From his vertical to his 40, like his long jump, a 43.5-inch vertical, a 4.3 40 at 6'6", 227. Like, I think that's absolutely a dude climbing up the boards. And that's what I've seen.
What player was this again?
Taylor Green.
That's right, Taylor Green. Yeah, he's definitely risen on my board as well. I think his athleticism, like you said, it's off the charts. What I saw him to do at Arkansas, to be honest, I think there's a lot to be had there. I think with some proper coaching, with mechanics, he could definitely do exactly what I think he'd fit in any situation. Speaking of which, watch out for Pittsburgh. I'm hearing some news about Pittsburgh more recently about them possibly going after a quarterback. So watch out for them. What did I want to say about Taylor Green? And I apologize. I got caught off guard. Somebody sent me a message and I was checking on some news. So sorry about that. But yeah, I could definitely see that. Could you call Taylor Green the sleeper though? You know what I mean? I know he's risen a little bit in some respects, but could you call him a sleeper at the same time? I know we're going to talk about sleepers later on, but
I would have called him a sleeper if he didn't do what he did at the combine.
That's a good point. I agree with that. The only reason I said sleeper is because people don't really know what you have in him. You could have something really good, or it may not be anything at all. So that's why I was, I was kind of 50-50 about it. But you're absolutely right. In regards to the athleticism and how well he did at the combine, not just being the best, he blew records out, right? I definitely think he's worth it, to be honest. Let's see. Let me pull up the next guy I have. The next guy I have on my list is Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver out of Indiana. He is quietly went from fringe first round player to now this guy is being touted as a definite mid first round player, wide receiver. The guy is 199 pounds, 6 foot, consistently good, has really, really good hands. What else can I say about Omar Cooper? From what I've read, teams love this guy. They love his size, his consistency, everything about the guy. He was pretty much Mendoza's go-to receiver. He has outstanding ball skills, improved focus and availability in 2025 after well-documented maturity concerns, right? That was an issue. And in 2025, he proved he can do what he needed to do. Runs hard after the catch, natural feel for finding soft spots on the field. Everything you'd want out of a wide receiver. I think this guy is quietly starting to become one of the top taken receivers in this draft. What do you think? I'm hearing Omar Cooper a lot in a lot of these draft mock boards or mock draft boards.
Absolutely. He was a name that I was tempted to put on. This is another second round wide receiver who's been slowly, almost like he's been on the rope, right? Getting dragged to the first round. You mentioned Jarvis Landry earlier. He reminds me a lot of Jarvis Landry. Physical, hard to tackle. The first guy is not bringing him down generally.
Mm.
Getting yards after the catch. Smart, understands zone defense. Like he was an absolute weapon for Mendoza. Like everybody talks about Surratt, and it's like nobody was looking at Omar Cooper. I think he's absolutely on the climb. Again, this is a guy that up till the national championship was being talked around a third round pick, and now he's being talked about up, maybe even being taken before Denzel Boston.
That's what I've heard, man. I've heard Denzel Boston sliding the draft. I'm like, why? Why is he sliding? I don't get it. But yeah, that's what I've been hearing about Omar Cooper. I've heard nothing but good things. Everybody's said good stuff about him, so we will see. I like what you said about Jarvis Landry being a comp for him. I definitely see it. The reason I even brought up Jarvis Landry when it came to Mekhi Lemon is because that size, 5'11", even a 6-foot receiver, that's the size point for Jarvis Landry. And being a guy that can run routes, and everything, I kind of had that kind of vibe from him. So I like the comp with Omar Cooper as well. Who's your next guy?
Funny, and this is how parody happens, right? I actually had Denzel Boston as a guy going up the board. So Denzel Boston was another one, and it's been very consistent. A lot of these second round wide receivers, the Chris Brazzles, the Denzel Bostons, the Omar Coopers, these guys that were second day 2 guys are starting to move up the board. Like I'm seeing people starting to move Denzel Boston into the top 25 players. He was a top 40 player.
Okay. I get you. You had him at top 40. I actually had him as the top 5 receiver in this draft, to be honest. I thought he was one of the best contested catch receivers. If you remember us talking about who some of our interesting, never heard of players that I think were really good when we had that show, I mentioned Denzel Boston. I think he's one of the better receivers. If you watch him, his size, he doesn't have elite speed like Tyreek Hill style speed, but he has elite breakaway speed. When he has the open space, he will outrun you. And he is he has really, really good hands. Definitely a red zone threat. I think he's definitely going to be one of the receivers taken in the second half of the first round, to be honest.
Well, see, here's my thing. I agree. I had him as a top 5 wide receiver for me. My thing is I did not have him as a top 25 player across the entire draft.
Good point.
And I love Boston. Like we've had in our private conversations, I want us to take him at 30. But it's starting to sound like he may not be available at 30. I think Buffalo might take him at, 28, 27?
I have Buffalo or the Rams taking him at some point. Those are the 2 teams that I think would be a good fit for him, to be honest. So,
is he everything Buffalo wanted from Cam Coleman? Or not Cam Coleman, Keon Coleman?
Yeah, I kind of think so. I kind of think he's the type of receiver that that Buffalo is missing too. They need a receiver bad. They have too many tight ends. That's their problem. So we'll see if they actually pull the trigger on receiver this year. That's one to watch. I have just one more player to go over as a climber. And the player I have is Mike Washington Jr. right? There's only one running back that's going to go in this first round, and that's Jeremiah Love, to be honest. If you really look at it as a whole, and I hate to say this running back draft is pretty much one of the, I want to say this is the weakest position group in this draft. And it's not because there's not talent, because there is talent, especially Jeremiah Love. The next best guy is really, in my opinion, Mike Washington Jr., running back out of Arkansas. After that, there's a cliff and you fall off the cliff. That's basically what it comes down to. And I think he's done himself a lot of help in this draft process. He had an explosive combine, one of the best 40s out of the running backs. It was funny. We talked about running backs, and the next day or that day they ran, and Mike Washington had a hell of a run. I was like, oh, there's my guy, right? He went from being a day 3 guy to now pushing himself into day 2. I could see him going early to mid day 2, to be honest. That's where I kind of have Mike Washington going. If you don't know, go check him out. He is a very physical runner, up the middle kind of guy. If he's in open space, he will burn you to the end zone. He runs very similar in one of his comps. You'll be surprised. One of his comps is Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson is one of his comps. The style that he runs, like standing straight up, he just looks like Adrian out there. So definitely check out Mike Washington Jr., arguably one of my favorite running backs. If he falls to the 3rd round and we need a running back, please pick me some Mike Washington, because I would definitely love him on the team, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely got a guy rising up the board. I still don't know if he's the second best running back in this class, but there's
the other Notre Dame kid too. The other Notre Dame kid is really good too, as well. But out of the running backs that we talked about in our show, I like Mike Washington Jr. He's my favorite. I like the style of running back, how he runs, how he when he's gonna like run the ball and he's about to be tackled, he doesn't necessarily like shy away from physicality. He brings physicality at the same time, and you get him in open space and he's gone. You know what I mean? I like that type of running back. This is me though, my opinion.
No, I agree. KP, just hold on, brother. You're like one segment too fast on them Penn State boys. Just wait.
I have a hot take on the Penn State boys too, but go ahead.
Well, no, they're my sleepers. Like those two in that room are. I'll talk about it when we get to the sleepers. I had one more stock up guy, and
Go ahead.
he may not even be considered a stock up guy, but I'll explain why I have him there. Landon Robinson, the defensive tackle. His combine alone took a guy who people were seeing as a UDFA, and he's now a legit prospect for the draft. He was considered undersized. And now I keep hearing his name popping up about even down as far as the 2nd round. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. But, like, this dude was not being talked about at all. At all. And then he shows up at the combine and just crushes every single drill. You go and watch him. He has a good pass rush swim move. He's kind of shorter, so he gets the leverage at the point of attack. I don't know where he ends up. He may end up as a 4th round pick, but anything above a UDFA for him is climbing aboard for me.
Yep, I could see it. I could definitely see that. It's going to be very, very interesting with some of these players. There's some players that I thought would be drafted that could definitely end up being a UDFA. So we shall see what happens, though. Any honorable mentions for climbing up the board besides that one?
Ty Simpson.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't know. I don't believe in this hype that he's arguably the best quarterback people are saying in this draft, and some of the hype that what's his name, Orlovsky brought up, on talking to Pat McAfee and stuff. I don't know if I buy into some of it. It is very interesting though, and it'll be really interesting where he slides, if he does slide, and where he goes. Because I just don't think he's going to go in the top 10 of this draft. Some people have him in the top 10. I just don't think he will though. What are your thoughts on Ty Simpson?
I think he is a guy, kind of what we talked about. I think he might be the other guy who is NFL ready because of what we were talking about earlier and the stuff he was asked to do that not a lot of college quarterbacks are asked to do.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, he has so little starts. Like there's so many questions. I don't think he goes before pick 16, but like I said, I think he could go pick 16.
I can see that happening. I could definitely see it. All right. Now we're gonna go to the biggest sinkers. You want to start us off on the stinkers or the sinkers? I'm sorry.
Uh, Damn, I just had one in my head too, and it just left me. Um, Jordan Tyson. So I don't know if it's the injury, him not performing at the combine. I don't think he even did his pro day, correct?
Um, no, I think he was there. Like he talked and stuff and did immeasurables, but I don't think he worked out or anything.
Yeah, I just keep seeing him falling more and more. And then I saw a thing today that they were talking about Jordan Tyson may not even be a top 20 player anymore or a top 30 player anymore. That's crazy to me because healthy, I think he's the best wide receiver in this class.
See, I've heard a little bit different. I've heard that he's still gonna be a top 12 kind of guy. That's what I've heard. I haven't heard like it's very hard, even with the injuries, right? It is very, very hard for me to see that him drop out of the top 12, to be honest. If he does, then it's wow. That would be massive, to be honest. But I'll even argue that I think he definitely is a top 10 talent. He's physical, versatile. Um, you know, he has the speed when healthy, and he also I'll argue that he's the top contested catcher. He has some of the best hands. I've seen him catch stuff that he shouldn't have caught. You know what I mean? So for me, he's arguably the best receiver in this draft. I just don't see him dropping out of the top 12, to be honest.
It's the injury history. It's the lengthy injury history. This smells like Will Johnson all over again. And it's funny because they're both from Arizona.
I can see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, my biggest sinker or faller, whatever you want to call it, and this one hurt because he definitely has talent, and I thought he would be one of the top 3 offensive linemen off the board. Spencer Fanu. He has elite athleticism, but really short arms and inconsistency. He's inconsistent. A lot of people are asking, is he a tackle? Is he a center? They don't know. It kind of, I hate to say this because I'm going to use this as a comp. It's kind of making me get Liam Eichenberg vibes, if you understand what I mean by that. He was touted as one of the top offensive line talent in this draft, but having short arms and not being consistent, that's some of the stuff that they said about Liam Eichenberg after we drafted him. So that's who my top sinker is, to be honest. What do you think about that?
I don't think he has, because the thing about Liam was his anchor. It was always his anchor, and that was the question. even though he gave up 0 sacks, right? At is it Notre Dame?
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame. He like when you watched his tape, his anchor was so inconsistent. You'd see, and like we complained about, right? He's always on the ground for Miami. It was that way at Notre Dame too. So we I get what you're going for Fano. I think the thing hurting him is nobody sees him as a tackle. Like, we tried Liam at tackle, and the league was looking at him as kind of a short arm tackle because he had not given up any sacks. He was closer to what Will Campbell for LSU, kind of how he prospected out, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So, Fano's problem is he's kind of a tweener. And then I know what he was trying to do at the combine. I think it kind of made him look even goofier when he started doing the center drills. And it was like he was trying to show I can do everything and I'll do anything to be on a team, but it put even more questions on what are you in the NFL? Like, what are you? Are you a tackle? Well, I don't know. Your arms are short. Your base is kind of off sometimes. Your anchor's good, but you're inconsistent, and I don't know how you're going to handle a speed rusher that can get inside your pads. Are you a guard? Well, that's where I think you're at, but is that a top 15 talent at guard? I don't know. I don't think he's better at guard than Vega. So, well, that remains to be seen, but I get it.
Yeah, it is really interesting. I had Fanu being one of the top offensive linemen coming off the draft board after Francis Mayoga comes off, right? I thought maybe he could be the second or third guy afterwards. And I don't know. It is really, really interesting. Shout out to Joe Rist, member who's been a member for 32 months. That is amazing. He says, prediction, Caleb Downs, half will call the D. What?
He's going to call our defense through the safeties.
Oh, okay. Maybe. Now I get it. Halfley will call the D through the safety. Now I get it. Maybe. But is he the green dot guy? I don't know. We will see.
Did Caleb Downs ever play green dot for Ohio? I don't think so. I think it's always been Sonny.
I think it's been Sonny Styles mostly. Let me check when he was at Alabama.
Yeah, we got you, Joe. We know you were limited. I got what you were trying to say.
What did he say? I'm not even looking at the screen.
He was limited in characters because of the membership. It only gives you like.
Oh, really? That's stupid. I hate when they do that stuff. Yes, he was at Alabama. Reports indicate that Downs was the youngest player ever to wear the green dot communication helmet for Alabama.
Well, there you go.
Freshman.
Add that to his generational talent.
I don't want to get into that argument. I'm not getting into it. I should have known that, and I should have put that on the table before, but I'm not getting into it now. But that's another check mark we can add to the list, Steve. Add another check mark.
I think KP hacked my computer because he keeps bringing up every sleeper I had on my list.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably get into it. My next guy as a sleeper, and some will say he's not a sleeper, but I will tell you why he is a sleeper in this draft. And
sleeper or faller?
Oh, I'm sorry, not sleeper, sinker. You're right, sinker. You just talked about sleepers, so I apologize. This guy has, I would argue it was his program and the coach he was playing for that really put him in this downfall. Because if he would have played for like a team like an Ohio State offense, or even let's say went down to Miami or maybe some of these other schools, I think we would be singing a different tune at this point. Drew Aller, in my opinion, is Unfortunately, one of the biggest sinkers. And he had an interesting, very interesting combine, right? You saw the video footage of him throwing the ball, one of the best, beautiful balls you'll ever see being thrown. The receiver had issues catching it, not because the ball couldn't get there. It's because he was just throwing it so damn far down the field, to be honest. He has one of the biggest arms, biggest frames. Some people call him the little Josh Allen. But his biggest issue throughout the season was inconsistent decision making. And that was his issue at Penn State, even the year prior when he played in a semifinal game against Notre Dame. That was an issue. That was an issue with Penn State when they were playing for a Big Ten championship game. It came down to his inconsistent decision making. And the reality is it his fault or is it the coaches around you? You and I, in both Mystic, and I've had this conversation with others, that Coach Franklin really isn't a guy that develops true, absolute true NFL talent. He recruits a hell of a talent, puts them together, but doesn't really put them in a situation that they can truly put out and show their talent for really what it is. So this guy, the only reason I feel he's falling, granted he had a horrible senior season, having the ankle injury, if you really want to call it that, but I think that the team was just so bad, it didn't matter who was there, it was going to be bad. But with that happening and then him deciding, you know what, I'll have surgery on my ankle because there's some stuff that had to be cleaned up anyways. I just think that there's a lot of talent and a lot to be had here with Drew Aller. So this is the only reason he's falling. It's because of the system he was put in. He got handed a really bad hand or dealt a really bad hand, and that's what it comes down to. I think in the right system with the right coach, right, and someone to coach on some of those things out of him, I think he's going to be a hell of a player. What I'm trying to say is his issues is not something you can't coach. It's something you can definitely coach him out of, and he just needs to be put with the right people. What do you think?
So I love Drew Aller. If you were making a quarterback in the lab, it was Drew Aller. He's not the athlete. He's not a Lamar Jackson athlete, but he sure as hell is a Josh Allen athlete. I don't care what nobody says. I don't know what y'all are watching. If anybody says he's not at least a Josh Allen athlete, I don't get it. He has a great arm. His decision making is 100% at question. I do think coaching has a lot to do with that because he was such a good athlete and had such a strong arm in high school. He got away with playing that backyard style football, and that's what he does. Think about Josh Allen. What was Josh Allen coming out, right? Decision making, mechanics, backyard football player. I think Drew Aller's a more polished player than Josh Allen was when he came out. So I hate and love the fact that I have to agree that his stock is falling, but I love it because let him be there with my 4th round pick. Please.
Hey, I'm okay with drafting him with our last 3rd round pick because we got 3 of them. So I would take him with the last 3rd round or our 4th round pick, to be honest. I think ultimately, I think he would be a hell of a QB to have in your room. A guy that you could develop for a year. But even if you had to put him in at the end of your season, let's say you're not having the best of the season and you want to just have him play out the rest of the season, I'd feel comfortable with it. He has a cannon of an arm. He can run and get you that first down when you need it. And like you said, you called it Josh Allen type of athleticism. I agree with it 100%. And like I said, you get him the right QB coach, the right guy to support him, he will end up being a much better talent than what you expected. I'm going to go ahead and say this. Watch out for Pittsburgh with Drew Aller as well. That makes a lot of sense. Being the hometown kind of guy, you know what I mean? That'd be a team to watch in this draft that's looking for a QB. So anyways, Who's your next guy?
So I was thinking about talking about a certain short-armed edge player that has been. I'm just going to be honest. Like, I saw a report today that people were talking about he might fall out of the top 20 players. I don't know if that's going to happen, but for the sake of what's been being said about him, you have to put him in the falling position. Ruben Bain is falling. Rather you think his arms are too short, rather you don't think he's a good enough athlete, rather you don't, whatever it is, teams are looking away from Ruben Bain. They're talking about taking Arvell Reese, who is not an edge, in front of him. They are talking about taking a guy who has a single year of production in David Bailey over him. I've seen people taking the 6'6" edge, Zion Young over him.
Mm.
That is insane to me. Ruben Bain is my falling prospect. It is. I get it. I get the measurables, but he's a good enough athlete. He just chose not to work out. I understand the questions, but I don't get why people are acting as if this guy isn't a dominant run stopper and has all the pressure in the world as a pass rusher. I don't get why he's falling out of the top 20 these days. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, it is very interesting. I mean, look, I will be fair. I'm not going to be a hater here. I'm going to be fair about Ruben Bain. I don't think he drops out of the top 15, to be honest. I don't. I still think the Saints is a destination for him, to be honest. He's athletic. He gets around. He can bend around offensive linemen. But those offensive linemen that have the longer reach and stuff, those are going to be tougher for him. And I'm not trying to use this as a what is the word? I'm not trying to use this as a joke, to be honest. But when you hear about Ruben Bain, and especially when you hear Hurricane fans or Miami fans talk about Ruben Bain, right? You know, they hype him up and everything. This is what he reminds me of when they hype him up. You know what this is? This is a badass dinosaur. It's called a Carnotaurus. You know what it was known for? Having these horns like a bull, right? Big ass dinosaur. But look at those short, tiny arms. Those are the most tiny. You're talking about a predator like this being a bull and having the smallest arms ever. That's Ruben Bain. That's the meme that's going around the NFL today, and that's why Ruben Bain is falling. But will he fall? I don't know. I still think that the Saints, like, I don't see him getting past the Saints. I just don't. I think that when we were talking about where players could go, that's the one team that I'm really sold on that I think Ruben Bain is going to be going there, to be honest.
To be honest with you,
go ahead.
I think Arvell Reese and David Bailey are smoke screens. I think the Jets are going to take him number 2.
He's going to go as high as number 2? Are you serious? Bro,
yes.
If that happens, I don't think we'll ever hear the end of it. We've hated Ruben Bain so much on here. Oh, bro. All right, look, like I said, I was being fair before I'll be fair again. If that happens, it happens, right? It's a crapshoot. The Jets could definitely make this type of decision because it's a Jets move, right? We all know this. But the reality is this. The reality for me is that if you really look at it, Ruben Bain is this Carnotaurus, right? Bullheaded, really can come at you like a freaking dinosaur, but he has short-ass arms. And that is a problem in today's NFL. You're going to get locked up, and you're going to have to show certain quickness and athleticism and some moves to spin out of it. That's basically what's going to happen. Can he do it consistently at the NFL level? That's the question. We saw him do it against teams like Pittsburgh, where he threw. It looked like he was throwing 12-year-olds around, to be honest, because that's what it looked like, right? Can he do that in the NFL where he's playing against other giants on different teams? I don't know. We're about to find out. But that's the beauty of the NFL. This whole thing is a gamble. So we will see what happens. If he gets drafted to the number 2 overall, that's awesome. Awesome for him. More of a payday, right? Will he be worth it? That's the big question. So, all right. Let me see who else I have left on my sinking list. Brandon Seiss, I think is how you say his name. I apologize if I didn't say Brandon's name correctly. He's the corner out of South Carolina. Good player, but I think the league is a little bit nitpicking. He's undersized. There's some durability questions from what I understand. He's he's 6 foot, 189 pounds. He has 8.5-inch hands. His arm length is only 30 inches, or 30 3/4. I'm sorry. And he runs a 440, which is not bad. A 4.4 is not bad at all, to be 100% honest. Just to kind of give you some insights on him, he has elite lateral explosion and downhill bursts, allow him to trigger instantly on perimeter runs and screens while maintaining sticky positions in man coverage against shiftier route runners. His issues, though, his zone instincts are raw and underdeveloped compared to his man coverage chops. When asked to monitor multiple receivers or process post-snap reads, he has issues with that. He also overreacts on route fakes, has grabby tendencies, and he has really issues with tackling, and his consistency at tackling is an issue for him. And there's also injury history concerns as well. So I think they're kind of nitpicking, but I like the player. Just unfortunately, he's sinking right now. So can he be something in the NFL? Probably, maybe. We'll see. What do you think about Brandon Seiss? I apologize if I don't say his name correctly. I've never been able to pronounce it, so sorry.
CCRR is saying Cisse.
Cisse? Okay. Brandon Cisse. Sorry.
So he's an athlete.
Yeah, he's an athlete. That's how I felt.
That's it. That's all he is. He's an athlete.
Yeah.
Okay, coverage. He struggles in press. He can get tricked in coverage. I never saw the instincts from him. Like, you have to have instincts. And I'll talk about one of my sleepers later. Like, it's instincts. Like, Xavier Watts last year at safety, me and Rashad argued about this kid because Rashad was like, oh, he's just lucky. He's the most lucky player I've ever seen. He just happens to be there when the ball gets popped in the air. I'm like, no, that's instinct. He knows where he needs to be. He's around the ball. You know who's also like that? Andrew Beagle. Instinct. He's not the best athlete. He's not the biggest guy. He's not the smallest guy, but he's not the biggest guy. But he has instinct. The pick 6 against Washington. That was instinctual. Yes, Fangio pointed it out. But he instinctively knew it was coming and was there. Intercepted it, pick 6. From an edge rusher on a screen pass. Like, I just never got that with Brandon. I was never a big fan of his, so him falling is not a surprise to me.
Very, very good point. What else you got on your sinking ship?
I hate it. Well, I don't even know. I don't know if you can call it sinking. I put him here because I had higher hopes for him. But I think the combine kind of fucked him up. Lee Hunter. This was a guy coming out of the Senior Bowl everybody was talking about. Nobody expected him to go to the combine and just lay a wet fart. And I said it during our live stream, remember? It looked like he just wasn't putting all the effort, like he was just playing around. It gave me Christian Wilkins vibes, where he's a great athlete for his size. He's a very powerful player, He's a dog when he wants to be, but then he also just fucks around too much. When you need him, he's playing around. Your wide receiver is going to go score a touchdown. He's going to jump on top of him and break his freaking knee. Like this stupid stuff. I don't know. I've been seeing him fall in a lot of later drafts, even more into like the third round almost at times. I don't think he'll fall that far. I think he'll be a second round pick, but like man, that combine didn't do him any favors.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, I even said it to you. I think he was one of my top guys list. I said the guy wins at point of attack with violent hands, thick power base, 6'9" wingspan, gap integrity, wraps up finishes near the line of scrimmage. All this stuff, great, right? And he went into the combine, and like you said, it was quieter than a wet fart, to be honest.
The man had his long jump was almost a half a foot shorter or something like that than the next defensive tackle.
Yeah, yeah. This guy is definitely sinking. Yeah, it is very, very interesting. What happened with him, but we will see. We will see what happens. This might be beneficial. He might get put on a good team that's looking to improve their defensive line. I know some teams that are looking for a guy like that. So another what's the famous saying, Steve? Someone else's trash is someone else's treasure, to be honest.
Yep.
So that's just how it works. I have one more, I don't want to call it player, but I'm going to throw it out there as that's sinking with the ship. The whole running back class, outside of Jeremiah Love, the whole class is sinking. The next running back after Jeremiah Love is really not projected to go anywhere until day 2 or day 3. That's the premise of what people are saying. The reality for me is there's maybe 3 running backs in this draft that I absolutely like, and I would love to have them on day 1 or day 2. But then after that, everybody else is a day 3 guy for me. It's very, very interesting how exciting this running back draft has been compared to other years. Yeah, there's Jeremiah Love, but you look at last year, there was Omarion Hampton, there was Genty, there was both Ohio State running backs, right? This year it's like there's
crazy white boy.
Yeah, and now there's Jeremiah Love, and then there's not anybody to maybe day 2 or maybe even day 3, right? I only can count 3 guys that I really like at running back. Maybe a 4th guy, but even then, I don't think he's a first round talent that I like. So the whole running back class is sinking to me. What do you think?
I agree. Just to get past it too, and then we can cycle on to whatever we want. I would put the entire tight end room along with that. It's like Kenyon Sadiq, and then we're talking about making a guy a wide receiver, maybe Eli Stowers. I like some of these tight ends a lot more than I think the league does, because everybody's just tanking down the line. They all got concrete boots and are getting sunk down the river.
Yeah, I can see that. Look, there's a lot of tight ends in this draft that I kind of like. I want to say, I'm going to go ahead before we give our sleeper list. For me, the tight end group is a sleeper because any one of these tight ends, I honestly think, are good enough to be up there. We just don't know how they're going to be used, right? And that's the issue. There's maybe 2-3 tight ends in this draft that I actually like as first round picks. No, maybe not. But there's a couple guys I like in day 2 for sure, or early day 3, very early day 3. I like for sure. So,
and I would make the reverse argument about the running back class.
You think
I would argue there's a lot of sleepers.
maybe there's a sleeper I do have in the running back room that's on my list. So we'll get into that. Let's talk about that. I'll open up the sleeper room. So number one sleeper for me, we are going to go to quarterback, and it's not Drew Aller. Drew Aller, to me, though he's on the sinking ship, he's not really a sleeper because I really think that he could be a guy with his size, frame, and his arm strength and talents. I think he can be good. He just needs someone to show him the way, to be honest. But the guy that I'm talking about, and I actually have two quarterbacks on this list that could be a sleeper. The first one I'm going to talk about is none other than Cole Payton. You know, Cole Payton out of North Dakota State.
North Dakota.
Yes, the next best thing out of North Dakota State, right? Cole Payton, 6'3", 232 pounds. Just to kind of give you some insight, built like a prototypical NFL at 232 pounds with broad shoulders, thick lower half, and absorbs contact and keeps him upright in the pocket on designed runs. I want to say his measurables, from what I saw, I said he's 6'30", 232 pounds, 10 and a quarter inch hands, 31 and 5/8 inch long arms, has a 78 and 4/8 a wingspan. His 40 was a 4.5, ran a 4.36 on the shuttle. His 10-yard split was a 1.57 and jumped for a 40-inch vertical and had a 130. Actually, not 130. I think he ran a 10-foot, 10-inch long jump, I think is what he had. But in 2025, the results were immediate and historic. He led North Dakota State to a 12-1 record and an 8-0 conference mark, completing 161 of 224 passes. He had a 71.9% completion rate for 2,719 yards and 16 touchdowns against just 4 interceptions. He also rushed 136 times for 777 yards. I repeat, 777 yards and 13 touchdowns rushing, averaging 5.7 yards per carry, right? He set the North Dakota single season record for pass efficiency, which was 193.8 yards per attempt, and 268.9 yards of offense per game. 3 of his top 6 single game offensive performances in school history belong to him, including a 380-yard explosion where he beat the number 2 ranked Jackrabbits with 4 rushing touchdowns. He finished 3rd in the Walter Payton Award voting, earned multiple All-American honors from Stats Performs, FCS, Football Central, the Associated Press, you name it. This guy has a lot. Scored all well across all 3 passing levels, poise under pressure. The guy has a lot to love. I think this guy is definitely a sleeper. Now, play devil's advocate, obviously. Only 1 season of starting experience at the FCS level. Okay, so he has a little bit more to learn. His mechanics need a little bit of overhauling, and he lacks the drive velocity to consistently fit the ball into tight NFL windows. I think that's subjective, to be honest. That's just my own thought process. And he did have a little bit of a fumble issue. He had 4 fumbles on 120 rushing attempts. I don't know if that's really that big of an issue, but I think there's a lot to be had here. Not saying he's a first-round talent at all, but he's definitely a sleeper guy. You get him into a room where you have quarterbacks, competing. I kind of am okay with this guy, Steve. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Let's say it's us and we decide to pick up a quarterback in the late 4th or 5th round or 6th round guy, and he's sitting there. I might pull the trigger. What do you think, Steve?
Meh.
Meh? That's what you have to say? Meh? The guy ran for 777 yards, 13 touchdowns alone, not including his 16 touchdowns that he put passing, and you're going to say, meh? Really?
29 touchdowns. I get it. I absolutely get it. I get what you're saying, and I agree. There's potential, right? I have questions about his arm strength. I actually agree with that statement of I don't know if his arm is strong enough for those throws when it needs to be right in the middle. Oh, I have no idea if he has touch. Like his accuracy's good. It's a lot of backyard football. So much like with Drew Aller, right? So I can't say I like one and not like the other. Aller,
let's be real, just real quick. And I don't mean interrupting you. I really apologize.
yeah.
But let's be real. Both Cole Payton, Drew Aller have Josh Allen type of athleticism. They're dual threat.
No, he's a way better athlete than Josh Allen.
Who is?
Way better athlete.
Cole Payton?
Yes. Cole Payton ran a 4.5.
Wait. You just said he's a way better athlete than Josh Allen, and you're going to say he's eh.
Because I don't like him as a passer at all. I don't know if the arm is there. And that's the concern.
Okay.
Like, again, that's why I said meh. Like
that's why he's a sleeper, though. He's not a guy that these guys I have on my list, my 5 sleeper guys that I have, are all gonna give you some I just don't know vibes. Like you think he has something, but you just don't know, and that's what makes him. So that's why I think he fits the bill. But I guess I shouldn't be really arguing with you because, to be 100% honest, I don't believe he's a first round guy. If I really believed in this guy that much, he should be in the first round.
Yeah, I just don't think so. I don't think
but,
he'll go. I don't think he'll. I think he's a UDFA. I don't think he's going to be drafted.
UDFA?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We shall see.
And again, like that's the point of a sleeper, right? Like this is a guy who needs a lot of work in his passing mechanics. He's a great athlete. He's a better athlete than Jackson Dart was. And Jackson Dart had passing issues, right? Mm-hmm. So he could get there. I'm not saying he can't. But for me, like I agree that if you're going to have him as a sleeper, I'm not saying meh to you putting him as a sleeper. Mm-hmm. I want to make that clear. I'm saying meh to him as a player. He's one of those guys that remind me of Justin Fields, where it's like I see the athleticism, I don't see the passing. I just don't see it. Like go look at Justin Fields when he was in college, man.
First of all, I watched Justin Fields when he
was.
But let's you say you see Justin Fields in this. Let's flip this around, okay? Because I think you're kind of mixed up on your argument. I definitely agree. There's question marks about his passing. I get it. But I think there's enough talent and football IQ that it's something that you could develop, and it could be something. I'm not saying this guy is going to day one become a future starter for you. No. But year 2, maybe year 3, and he has to come in, he could develop into one of those guys. He could be a future star in this league because he has the talent to do a lot of things that you really can't, like you said earlier, you can't teach certain things. What his problems are, in my opinion, are the things that you can teach, right? That's what I think. And he only has 1 year of experience, so that's a big downfall, but that's what I think he also could be a sleeper for that fact. But here's the thing about your Justin Fields argument real quick. If you go back and watch the tape of Ohio State in the last 2 seasons Justin Fields was there, he had one hell of an arm. The guy was a passing machine, bro. The guy threw balls like you've never seen it before. Mm-hmm. Even his pro day, he looked really good, comfortable passing the ball. What we have received since then, since he got drafted and went to Chicago, right? And then went to Pittsburgh and then went to New York. He's never been able to be the guy that he was at Ohio State or what people saw in him on his pro day. What I'm trying to say is when he was at Ohio State and what you saw him at his pro day, freaking Justin Fields was able to bomb it anywhere he wanted to. He could throw the ball from left, right, center, anywhere on the field, no problem. This guy, hasn't really been able to show that he could throw the ball left, right, and center, right? Even though I said that he has been able to score from anywhere on the field, which he has, right? This guy is showing you less talent, not as much, and you're trying to tell me he's giving you Justin Fields vibes. I think this guy's going to come in and kill it throwing the ball, but may not have the running ability that Justin Fields did. You understand what I'm saying? I think it's going to be the opposite, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, see, what I'm saying is, and again, like, looking at prospects, I was never a fan of Justin Fields. I thought he had a long way to go at reading the field as a passer, and I think his elite athleticism, because let's be honest, Justin Fields is an elite athlete. He is, I mean, he was breaking Michael Vick's records in the NFL for athleticism, right?
Okay, yeah.
But I always questioned his ability to read the field. Teams were not playing against his passing at Ohio State. They were taking into account for his athleticism, and your elite room of wide receivers allowed him to get away with playing in a way that, most teams in college just don't have the players to defend. Like, that's just is what it is. And then when he got to the NFL, they watched the tape and they realized, oh, this kid can't read the field. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know if Cole will ever transition to being able to read the field at the level in which you need to at the NFL. That's my argument. He has the athleticism.
That is definitely an argument to be had, and I agree in regards to that. I guess, like, for me, he fits the sleeper bill because of its athleticism, right? But if you also look at it, and I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I'm going to fight for your argument. If you also look at it, he went to North Dakota State University, and the last two QBs to be drafted out of North Dakota State, Trey Lance and even Carson Wentz, who went, top 10, arguably, both of them, I think, did. And I could be wrong about Wentz. He might have gone a little bit less than top 10 if I'm wrong. They didn't pan out. They didn't end up being the top quarterback that everyone thought they could be. So,
well, I mean, Wentz won a Super Bowl.
Wentz didn't win the Super Bowl, though.
Or sorry, no, Wentz was on the.
He was on a Super Bowl team, but he got injured and never got to play in the Super Bowl. But he didn't win the Super Bowl.
But if you remember that season, wasn't he an MVP candidate? I'm pretty sure he was, and then he petered out after that. So to that point, he had one great season, but I'm pretty sure he was an MVP candidate that year.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. Let me see. I guess you're right. Yeah, the 2017 season with Philadelphia, before Week 14 when he hurt his ACL. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Well, okay.
Yeah, he was a dog. He was a dog that year.
If you look at it, Carson Wentz had one big year, and he hasn't been able to do anything since. He was, out of the two guys that were drafted, Trey Lance and Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz actually was the better QB out of the two. If you look at what they were able to, compete and what they were able to accomplish. But the reality for me is that if I'm in the low rounds, maybe the 6th round, and I'm looking for a QB that can be a dual threat guy that may have a lot of athleticism, but doesn't know how to put the other stuff together, this guy fits the bill. And I think he has the tenacity to be able to get stuff done when he needs to. And what I mean by that is, like, in a pinch, if I need that 1 yard, he's going to be able to get me that 1 yard, right? He's the type of player that I kind of feel like he can be that backyard player that a team might need in a messy game or a messy battle. You know what I mean? He might be that type of guy.
Yeah, and Carson Wentz was the 2nd overall pick.
Is this guy a franchise guy? No, not a franchise guy at all. Not yet, at least. but he has a lot of talent, and it'll be fun to work with. Who's your next guy?
So my first sleeper, I was fighting over which one of the two I wanted to go with. I'm just gonna start with the one I was telling you about earlier, Josh Moten, 6 foot 180 corner out of Southern Mississippi. This kid ran a 4.43 40 and has had 10 interceptions in the last 2 years as a corner. He can play press man, he can play zone. That his issue is he needs to learn how to catch interceptions because he should have 16 plus in the last 2 years. You're talking about a kid who's probably going to be a day 3 guy, early day 3, late day 2 guy that nobody's talking about whatsoever. I don't know why they're not talking about him. His ability to anticipate routes, get his body in the right position to make a play on a ball. He's really good. I really enjoyed watching his film.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I have to watch more of his film. I didn't really watch any of his film, to be honest, Steve. So that's somebody I'm going to have to mark down. What school did he go to?
Southern Mississippi. He was there for the last year. I forget where he was before that.
How do you spell the last name? I want to put him on my list.
Moten, Moten.
Moten, Southern Mississippi.
Yeah, so he started at Texas A&M, went to Marshall, and then Southern Miss.
6 foot?
Yeah, 6 foot 185.
I'll add him to my list to watch. Yeah, that's someone that's interesting. I don't have very much to say beyond that because I didn't watch him, unfortunately. So,
but that's the point of this.
Definitely. So my second guy, how do I explain why I liked him? I think he's a guy with grit, and I saw him play in some games, and I'm like, holy crap, there's something to be had there. And I think he gained a lot of respect at Georgia Tech, and that's Haynes King, the quarterback. He's an electric runner, dual threat with legitimate sub 4.5 speed who can run and turn broken plays into explosive gains. You talked about backyard football. This guy can do some of that. He's quick twitch athlete, throws absolute dimes on the move. One of the best best throwers while moving was what I touted him with. Natural born leader. His leader skills are really good. Clutch gene runs through his veins, extends plays, had a hell of a career in Atlanta, to be honest. He's a Texas native, discovered his calling in Atlanta, where he carved out a legacy as one of the ACC's most dynamic dual threat quarterbacks. King's 2023 breakout campaign put him in a rarefied air joining LSU's Jaden Daniels is what they compare him to, which is surprising. Let's see. He was one hell of a signal caller. He eclipsed 2,800 passing yards, 25 touchdown passes, 700 rushing yards, 10 rushing touchdowns. That production earned him a honorable mention, all ACC honors, and an unwavering respect of teammates who voted him as a permanent captain. You talked about guys like we just got done talking about Cole Payton, right? And you talked about his ability to throw. Well, this guy, I think, has all of that ability to throw. He does have athleticism to run too, right? But I really like this guy's leading ability. I think that if you're a team and you're looking for a backup quarterback and a guy that you could throw in and he could probably win you a couple games, this is the guy you want. Haynes King is the guy. And why I say he's a sleeper is because he's borderline a guy that could be your starter, but also could be your backup and who's your like clutch finisher, if you want to call it that. I could definitely see him being that kind of a guy for a team. I love what I see from Haynes King. I like his tape. Like I said, one of the best passers while running, and that's something that's really hard to do. And he throws dimes like very easily. So I like Haynes King. Check him out. Check him out his tape. What do you think?
The only thing I remember about Haynes King, wasn't he a 4 or 5 star prospect? He was like the guy. I remember when he was going into college, he was being talked about as the guy, and he's old too, isn't he? Like 20, 25?
He
Something
is
like that.
older. I think you're
Yeah.
right about his age. Let me pull him up here real
Again,
quick.
I didn't watch a lot of Haynes King, so I can't talk about a whole lot about him. But what I do remember was
It depends
his,
what it just about your first thing. I want to address that first. The star rating. It depends on who you spoke with, because like Rivals, they only had him as a 3-star athlete, to be honest. But
okay.
you look at 247 Sports or ESPN, they had him at a 4-star, and he wasn't the number one guy. He was like ESPN had him 8 overall, number 3 in his position.
Okay.
You know,
I
he
just remember people talking him up because a lot of the comps I kept hearing was Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if it was because they're a similar height at 6'2" or whatever, but like again, I didn't watch a whole lot of Haynes King to say for a fact or whatever, but like I remember there being a lot of hype around him, and then during the combine, he actually had a pretty good combine, and people were talking about him.
Well, I
So
think he was with Texas A&M for a while because he was in College Station before he got to Atlanta, right? And Texas QBs being from Texas, they're going to get a lot of hype. They always do. So I think that's part of it. For me, I like what I saw from this guy on the tape. He's still learning to read complex defenses, so that's still an issue for him. Accuracy sometimes is an issue. And he doesn't necessarily have the build. People are saying his weight is not enough. He's only about 215 pounds, is what people are saying. So I just liked what
yeah,
I saw on film. It was something exciting to see. And it'll be fun. Will it translate to NFL? Not as a starter, but as a backup, a guy that you could throw in. Every year you see a backup that comes in and just lights it up, and you're like, where's that guy been? I need him on my team for the teams that don't have a QB, right? He's that guy. He's going to be the guy that comes in and he can back up a Josh Allen, and you're not going to have to worry because he'll hold it down and get the game done for you, right? That's kind of the guy I'm talking about. So who do you have next?
so I'm gonna reiterate something I brought up after the East West Shrine Bowl. Mason Van Ginkel Rager, 6'5". I think he's 262 set 265, 270. Dominated at the East West Shrine Bowl. He isn't being talked about because he had a year that I think he got hurt and he missed an entire year of college. But
Mhm.
he has all the tools. He has the pass rush ability. He has the bend. He reminds me so much of Andrew Van Ginkel when he came out of Wisconsin, and this kid is coming right out of Wisconsin. Like, I really, for people who have not watched this kid play, I don't know. I know, but people want to talk about Zion Young. People are talking about Tyreek Sapp. People are talking about Danny Dennis Sutton. And much like we saw from Andrew Van Ginkel, this kid may not be a starter day one, but in 3 years, you're going to find out when your starter goes down, Jalen Phillips, that this kid comes in and is almost better than the guy you had as your starter because he
Mhm.
plays special teams. He has the bend. He has the swim move. He has the spin move. Like it's all there. It just needs to be molded into consistency.
Mm. Very, very interesting. So I you know, I like what you're saying. I have a different guy on my end that I think is, especially at running back. I think he's the guy when it comes to sleepers. He's how do you say, you draft them in the 6th round, but they stick around the league for like 10 years. I think this guy is right up that creek. Um, and the guy I'm talking about is Chip Trainum, running back. He played for Toledo for a bit. He was at Ohio State, Arizona State, several places. He's transferred quite a bit, and he actually switched positions. At Arizona State, from what I understand, he was a power back, accumulating 692 yards and 10 touchdowns over 10 seasons. Then he transferred to Ohio State, and they saw him switch to linebacker of all things, but that was kind of weird. And then he returned back to offensive backfield in the 2023 season, solidified his role as a key contributor in the backfield, where he finished the team's 2nd leading rusher with 373 yards. Throughout his collegiate career, Trainum demonstrated his adaptability and freakish physical gifts. He amassed 1,157 career rushing yards and 13 touchdowns. Now, what makes him interesting is that he's an elite athleticism. He shows elite athleticism, earning a spot on the Bruce Feldman's freak list with rare combination of size, 5'11", 233 pounds. He brings physicality to the running back room. In speed in the 4.3s, he's been clocked at running 22.2 miles per hour, right? He benched 415 pounds and his 650-pound squat. Talk about some strength, right? Demonstrates positional versatility, power runner, good vision, proven performer. His issues is he has limited experience as the full-time featured back. His pass blocking skills need refinement. I get that. And ball security concerns with fumbles are an issue, right? Some of those things I think you can coach out of someone. But if you could draft somebody in the 6th round and he could just be that running back that just does good enough to stick around your program for 10 years, this is that guy. And he does a lot of things really, really well. And he can be that freak athlete when you need him to be. So Chip Trainum, check him out.
Yeah, you stumped me there. I don't think I've ever even heard that name before.
Yeah. And just to kind of give you some background for him, Chip Trainum, born in Akron, he led his high school team to 3 state championships, showcasing his prowess. He averaged 12.4 yards per rush, amassed 1,313 rushing yards, 26 touchdowns in high school, right? At Arizona, as a power back, he accumulated 692 yards and 10 touchdowns over 2 seasons. Not a full-time kind of running back kind of guy. His transfer to Ohio State, like I said, he switched positions, which I completely forgot about. And then throughout it, then he went back to running back where he, started blowing it up. So he can run in the 4.3s, explosive, power back, great vision. He has really good high football IQ, from what I understand. Strong special teams contributor, proven performer. He's definitely a guy to throw in a running back room, right? Especially when you're running back, or having a running back by committee, kind of like our style of running backs. You know how we have 3 guys. That's the type of room you want to throw him in. So, but it'll be very interesting where he lands. It's a guy that I think that he has enough talent where he could be a featured back and show, maybe get some people a lot of fantasy points at some point in his career. I think that's what could happen. So, who else you got?
So I'm classifying him as a sleeper because he's a guy who a couple years ago showed out, but then kind of fell off a cliff. But the talent and athleticism is there. Jaden Ott.
Mm.
So you're talking about a guy from Oklahoma when he had transferred to Oklahoma last year. I don't know what happened. I don't know if maybe he got hurt or something, or if he just got buried there. But he only had 21 attempts for 68 yards. It was a rough year. But at Cal, in his sophomore year, he ran for 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns, and looked like he was going to be one of those running backs and like one of them ones. And then it just, like I said, it fell off a cliff.
Mm.
I don't know what the problem is, but and why he kind of fell off the cliff. I'm wondering if it's just situational and where he's at. But the athleticism, he's a 4'4" guy, can run with power. He's 5'11", 200 pounds. I think you could put some more weight on him, and he could be a very much kind of like Jalen Wright, uh, kind of running back where he runs with power and speed and is very downhill. I don't think he'll be your running back one, but he definitely could be your change of pace back, and he offers some pass catching ability.
Mm. What was the name of the player one more time?
Jaden Ott.
Jaden Ott. That's right. Very interesting. I'll have to add him to my list as well. My next guy is Daquan Wright. Now, some people might not say that he is a sleeper, but I think he is. This guy is a modern receiving tight end and has yak ability that's off the charts. He blew up against Miami. He looked like a giant among their secondary at times. He ran like a receiver, even though he's a tight end. He's not your blocking style tight end. He is your athletic style type of tight end that is going to be able to run the wide receiver routes, no problem, get in open space, and he's going to eat up the yak yards. Hot take, this guy would be a guy that I could see in a Mike McDaniel offense for sure. Just going to point that out. But Daquan White, I think it's a definite sleeper, a guy that he's either going to blow up or he's going to be asleep the whole time in the NFL. And I think if someone just works with him on his blocking ability, if they coach him up and, with the proper stance and where to get his hands right, I think he could be a lot more effective in certain types of offenses. But you have him out and, running routes and everything, he's going to find the open space. And when he catches the ball, he's hard to take down initially. And he takes off running. Don't give him open field because he's going to burn you. We saw that a couple times in, the college football playoffs. So definitely check out Daquan White out of Ole Miss. And just to tell you a little bit more about him, plays tight end. Where is my...
Good athleticism.
Yeah.
I just need him to be more willing to block. That's my only problem with him.
Yeah, he has blocking issues. That's his main issue. I'm trying to his measurable.
It's not even so much that his problem is blocking. I can deal with a tight end that's not great at blocking. My problem is his inconsistency at selling the block.
Mm-hmm.
He very half-asses it sometimes, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And Daquan Wright, just so you know, he's 6'4", 246 pounds. Just going to point that out. And he runs like a big receiver, has amazing catch radius, run blocking, tough kid who played through a series of undisclosed injuries. And so not only was he playing very well in that playoff game that we watched, this guy actually had injuries that he was playing through that we didn't even know about. So that's kind of interesting. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with him. He's a guy that I think has the ability to show up in this league very easily. Who's your next guy, Steve?
I'm calling them sleepers, and it's a pair. because I want to get both of them out there because I talked to him about them as a pair when we talked about our favorite players. I'm
Yeah,
calling
yeah.
them a sleeper because they're falling down the list. Both of the kids from Penn State. Like, are we just letting this head coach kill extremely good talent? Like Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. Singleton's falling because he got hurt. Okay, I get it. But you not watching these kids film? Like, I don't understand why people are just so easy to disregard Katron Allen. When we were talking about Jordan Love, I pointed out that Katron Allen and him were almost identical this year. The
Yeah.
only difference was was it 4 touchdowns, something like that. But
Mhm.
they're talking about Love is like this great running back, can't miss. He's your guy in the first round, and then Katron Allen sitting here in the third round, like somebody pick me. I can be your number one. Like I don't get it. Nick Singleton has the long speed. Katron Allen has the short burst speed. Like
Yeah.
they're both elusive. They're both fast. Katron Allen isn't afraid to turn his head down and slam through a defensive line for a first down. But guess what he can also do? Catch swing passes and make people miss. Like, I'm not lining him up at wide receiver and telling him to run a post route. But if you're a quarterback, this is the type of running back you love. I just it kills me that I have to call them sleepers because I believe they are two of the top 5 best running backs in this class. And I do think that had Nick Singleton not gotten hurt at his pro day, he would
Mhm.
have everybody would have fell in love with him. Or not his pro day, sorry, at training for the combine, everybody would have fell in love with him at the combine. Because he
Mm.
probably would have ran a 4.3.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. It's kind of I don't know what happened at Penn State, man. They had all this talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball, right? They had talent, and it just felt like they really never maxed out. They never were able to get to what they should have been able to accomplish with all that talent. You know what I mean? Every year they had one of the best defenses, best offensive lines. They went and paid one of the coaches the highest paid ever at defense this past season, only to watch it blow up in their faces. So it's just really interesting. And
They were literally one of the best teams in all of college in 2024.
yeah,
And just this disaster since it was losing to Ohio State, right? Like basically since that game.
losing to Ohio State the year before, they had
Or
already
sorry, the
lost
year
several games. They already lost several games this season that we played them this past season. The game that really hurt them, I want to say, oh shit, who did they lose to first? Let me look that up. I'm
well, no,
curious.
they were in the national. I'm not getting it mixed up, right? They were in the national championship against Ohio State, right?
Not in the national championship game.
No,
They lost to Notre Dame in the
Notre Dame.
semifinal.
That's what
Uh,
it was. That's right.
yeah, and remember that was the game where it was so weird. You had one of the best QBs being Drew Aller, and you wouldn't let him throw the ball. They would not let him throw the ball. That
Yes.
was the issue. And I'm like, bro, if you don't throw the ball, you're not going to win this game. So, yeah, that was the end of Penn State. You know, after the Notre Dame game, people say, no, it wasn't until they lost to UCLA and lost to all these other teams. I think they also lost to Indiana and stuff. Whatever.
But that was the downhill.
That was the
That's what I
downhill
was saying.
fall. That's where it started, was the Notre Dame game. Especially since Notre Dame looked like it had a high flying offense against that team, because they were scoring it on demand. It was very fast paced in that first half versus Penn State. All right, so my last guy that I'm going to talk about is wide receiver. And this guy has speed, upside, and raw route tree. J. Michael Sturdivant, wide receiver, and I believe he played for Florida recently. He transferred around in California for a little bit. But this guy is 6'3", weighs 207 pounds, 9.5-inch hands and has almost 33-inch arms, right? And almost he has about a 78.5-inch wingspan, right? Runs a 440, however, has been clocked in the sub 4.3s. He has been clocked in the sub 4.3s. Let's see here. He was a wide receiver from UCLA. He brings impressive blend of size and speed to the NFL conversation. Like I said, he's 6'3", 205 pounds. His frame immediately catches the eye of scouts looking for a potential X receiver at the next level. So anyway, he transferred from Cal to UCLA in 2023. He quickly established himself as a key target in the Bruins offense. He appeared in 13 games, starting 10 of them, finished second on the team with 36 receptions, 597 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He had an impressive 16.58 yards per catch, ranked 6th in the Pac-12, showcasing his big play ability. He's the son of NFL player and nephew of Hall of Fame player Floyd Little, who excelled in both football and track in high school. His 4.38 40-yard dash time at UCLA speaks to the speed that made him a state-level sprinter in Texas, just so you're aware of that. Super athletic, impressive size, long strider, displays good body control, shows promise as a route runner with smooth breaks and ability to find soft spots, versatile enough to line up both outside and in the slot, giving offensive coordinators flexibility in formations, demonstrates willingness as a blocker, which is a must to me, and definitely has special teams experience. He does need to improve consistency in his hands. That's a little bit of an issue. Can struggle to create separation, which I don't know. I don't know if that's accurate. When I was watching tape, I need to see more of that on tape where he struggled to really define it. His route tree still needs to be a little bit developed, and despite his straight line speed, lacks elite short area quickness. So in the long run, he's fast, but not in the short area. Overall, I think this guy is a project developmental kind of guy, but he has some big play potential that could lead to something, and that's why he's one of my sleepers. I think he's going to be probably a late rounder, 6th, 7th round kind of guy, but he could definitely be productive in the right scheme with the right team. So that's what I think. What do you think of this guy? Do you have any thoughts on it?
It's kind of funny. He would almost fit in the falling category too. This guy was being talked about as like a second
Early
round
on
pick.
his career. Yeah, earlier on his career, he was very much talked about. And now he's sitting up as a sleeper, really.
Yeah, well, even last year, they were talking about him being probably a second round pick, at least a day 2 pick. And now, like, people are talking about this dude falling all the way to the 6th round. Like, I don't get it. I see the athleticism. His hands are inconsistent, but I mean, he has the frame, he has the speed. It's focus drops. Like it's like he's trying to look for the big play and then he drops the ball. Like you just got to get him on the straight and narrow, and this kid could be a steal.
Absolutely. I think he can definitely be a steal. But ultimately, when you look at him altogether, I think he's really just a classic wide receiver 3 with breakout ability. Like he could have a breakout moment and be a really good wide receiver 2 at the very most. That's what I think he has. But people were talking a lot about him at the time, and he kind of slid, unfortunately for him. So
he could kind of be Jalen Tolbert.
He could be the Jalen Tolbert. Yeah, maybe.
Wide receiver 3 that nobody's paying attention to, and just out of nowhere makes one of the best corners in the league look stupid because he was underestimating him.
Yeah. I definitely think he could be one of those guys for sure. Definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was my list. Do you have anybody else? Any other sleepers?
I got one last guy, and then just because It's somebody I've talked about before, and I really want people to go back because again, I don't know why nobody talks about him. Oklahoma right guard for Becky Nwewu. The kid is strong, powerful, angry at the point of attack. He's a damn good run blocker. He struggles in pass blocking, but it's all technique based stuff. You want to talk about adding Nigerians to the line? Like, here's another one of those guys. Just nobody's paying attention. It's just these guys that they're so good when at doing their job. And I'm not saying he's a great prospect. Like, I'm saying he's a good prospect, but he just does his job, and everybody forgets he's there.
Mm. Yeah, very, very, very interesting. Yeah, I agree with you. This episode's been kind of fun. I have some people on my team or on my list that I need to read about because of some people that you brought up, and you made a lot of good points. The wide receiver is going to be really interesting because there's one thing I know about this draft is that there's a lot of athleticism on the wide receiver board. From top to bottom. You could argue that you could wait a little bit to draft someone in the later rounds at wide receiver and still get something productive. I still can't get over the fact that Denzel Boston is falling though. I'm seeing that on my timeline as we speak right now, and I'm sitting there like, I have this guy as one of the top 5 receivers in this draft. You know what I'm saying? I don't get it. It is what it is. People just don't know. But I just saw a report. The Miami Dolphins have requested him to their team headquarters for a meeting. So that will be very, very interesting what the Miami Dolphins do.
30 on the way. Put it in the bank.
Yeah, it will be very interesting. Everybody hit the like button. I hope this was a fun show. I had a lot of fun talking about the different players, and sleepers, the sinkers, and the climbers. It was a lot of fun. I hope I didn't upset the Miami Hurricane fans too much. But that's what I think of when I think of Ruben Bain. This guy that's bullheaded, can run you over like a dinosaur, but he has these short arms. You know what I mean? That's like, man, talk about didn't get the right genes. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be really interesting. Next couple episodes that we have, we're going to be talking more about players. We're going to be giving some shout outs, maybe revisiting some players that we talked about previously. Give them a profile, shout out. We are also going to have 4th and 10 use first round NFL mock draft, and we're only doing it once. It'll be the Tuesday before the draft is when we talk about that, and that's where we give our final predictions. So check out the Tuesday before the draft. We will be live the entire NFL draft here on the 4th and 10 network, as well as TFTG. And stay tuned because I mentioned before they have kidnapped our friend Mystic, and we will be retaliating. So it'll be the biggest retaliation you've ever seen on TFTG. But yeah, we might just have to go walk over there, Steve, and take over their channel. That's what we're gonna have to do. And then we'll just run the show from now on. Just kidding. But no, stay tuned. There might be a 4th and 10 takeover on TFTG soon. So stay tuned for that. Hit the like button. What are your final thoughts, Steve?
1 week closer, as I keep reiterating. It's almost time. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait too. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get to see who, what, where, and when, and finally see who picks who. Who's going to be that number 2 pick? Hey, my thoughts on who's going to go to Tennessee. I mentioned it here on the show. I've seen a lot of mock drafts now have that person going to Tennessee, by the way. if you know who I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. Everybody hit the like button. We'll see you next time. Make sure you subscribe if you're brand new, right? I think we're over 70 subscribers. We need to get to 100. Once we get to 100, we're going to have some giveaways to some lucky subscribers. Everything from some cards, a hat of your favorite college football team will be given out as a free giveaway. And stay tuned. I'm going to have a good friend of mine that's going to be coming on the show that's going to be discussing some sports memorabilia as well. So stay tuned for that. Everyone hit the like button. Until next time, we'll see you then.